Thinking back, my husband and I actually met in art class in high school. I used to find fresh cut flowers in my locker every single day. Of course, I still admire flowers, and I'm inspired by nature. As I evolve as an artist, it's fun to find new ways to add it to my work. I hope this video inspires you to create new and exciting pieces, and I hope you share with us what you've done.
Have you ever been scrolling through Pinterest and wondering, hey, I wonder if I could do that? Well, with these plaster dip roses, that was me. So I want to show you guys real quick on how I did that. I'm just following the directions of here, but I'm using a half batch since I'm only doing one rose. And you'll probably want to use much less than that if you only do a small amount of flowers. But I just got this at Hobby Lobby, follow the instructions that are on the back. And I already put a cup of the plaster in a bowl. You're gonna want this wiry thingamajig, a whisk. It's called a whisk. Sorry, I went blank for a minute. You're gonna want your water and everything prepared before you get started. You're gonna want a work surface that you don't mind getting messy, and some wax paper is nice for when you lay your flowers down. Depending on what project you're doing, on whether or not you want your flowers to have a flat surface, if you want to glue them to a board like I did here, or if you want to use them in a different application and you want a more rounded look. And what I did for that was just had a Dixie cup and I put the wax paper down in there and I just plopped the flower down in there when it was covered with plaster. That is all I did with that. So I'm gonna get started real quick mixing this up. Got my water right here. It is best to see if you need any more before you mix any more, like you see if you need any more water. You're gonna want pancake batter consistency, maybe a little thinner. So that's what I have here. Work quickly. Don't talk too much like I normally do. And I'm gonna go ahead and just leave that stem on, well, I'm gonna pop it off. That's what I'm gonna do. You are going to be dipping, like scooping the stuff. I don't know if you, yep, you can see that. So scooping it in there. You're gonna get your hands dirty with this project. So I am really just trying to get the whole surface and down in there covered as much as I can. So actually, a good size rose, you might need a cup of plaster to get it covered thoroughly. And you'll probably have some leaves too. So once you get it covered, I'm even gonna try to get it down in there a little bit more. So this is a messy job, but somebody's got to do it, right? I am trying to work fast, but I'm also trying to be conscious of how it's going to look. So just cover as much as you can. The DIY paint is going to cover what you don't the first round. I tried doing a second dip on my first batch and I didn't like it. So this is thoroughly covered. It's really messy and I'm going to lay it flat. So I'm not going to mash it out, but I am just going to let it lay. And it's heavy with the plaster, and what that's going to do when it lays flat like that is it's just going to get a gluable surface. So I'm going to be using this on another mixed media piece like this, and so I'm just going to let that dry right there, and that flat area that's touching the wax paper, that is going to be a good gluable area where you'll have plenty of surface to use the hot glue with. For your project like this. If you have a canvas, I use plywood for that. And And that is it for that process. And I am out. That took 1 cup of plaster, a very large rose. You're gonna want, and it's already starting to set up, you're gonna want to pick nicer flowers at Hobby Lobby or Walmart. Just pick the nicer ones, the ones that look more realistic. I think those will look best. Like this right here, it actually, it's just kind of hard to tell that this isn't real roses on there. And so that is my advice to you guys, and have fun. I'm going to be showing you a few different things today, one of which on how to make the detail pieces with molds and hot glue versus the paper clay. I am new to this. The first time I used these molds was with the paper clay, and I got a little bit still in there, but I didn't honestly like how the paper clay shrunk and cracked, so you had to go back and touch it up if you wanted a cleaner look, and I didn't really like that. And I'd actually seen someone else using hot glue, so I'm going to show you that today as well. The silicone molds, they are stick free, so even with a hot glue gun, once it cools, you shouldn't have any problems popping it out. And I got a larger glue gun, so I can just use more product as I go and not have to just keep pumping at it. And I am just filling the hot glue up to where the edge is on these molds, and I'm going to let it cool. I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of the leaves, and I'm going to try to stay around, I think, the shape of the oval here. I'm going to add a generous layer of hot glue around the edges that had dried flat onto the wax paper. Careful not to get my fingers.
As you can see, laying them flat on a piece of wax paper creates a gluable surface so you can be able to attach them to the board.
So now I'm going to check to see if I can pop this out or make sure that I can. And look at that. So that is a decorative piece. I'll have to clean off the hairs a little bit, but then I can be able to glue that to any surface. I'm going to go ahead and get a pair of scissors and snip the angle where that stem is right there. What you do to apply this is just add glue to the back of this. Just a thin strip down it. And I have decided to just go the outline of my chalk line here.
I followed through with the oval pattern that I had created with the hot glue detail pieces. Here is the color recipe that I used, or create your own with DIY paint. The possibilities are endless. Thank you so much for watching, and hey, please subscribe. Here's the links to be able to find us on social media. Take care, and we'll see you on the scenic route.